Sir, thank you so much for being with us. Let's kick off with an open question. What do you think of the UK's move to try to pass this internal market bill?
It's come, I think, as a bit of a shock to everybody, particularly at this delicate stage in the negotiations. We haven't got long to get a trade deal sorted out with the EU, the UK's most important trading partner. This really needs to be sorted out over the next 4 or 5 weeks. This is a move, to put it mildly, that has not engendered trust with the folk that we're negotiating with, and why the government has done it is difficult to discern. Is this a prelude to walking away, or was this another attempt, a rather cack-handed attempt in my view, to put more pressure on the EU? We'll only really know where the government's going to go with this as things unfold over the next few days.
I want to come on to the EU side of things and their stance in just a moment, but in terms of the domestic situation in the UK, there's still a number of hurdles to actually getting the bill through. The internal market bill must pass through both houses of British Parliament before becoming law. I mean, what are the chances it actually succeeds?
In its current form, I think very low. We've heard yesterday peers in the House of Lords lining up to condemn this move, including Lord Howard, a former leader of the Conservative Party. There are also rumblings on the backbenches of the Conservative Party in the House of Commons. So the passage of this bill will be really, really tough, and it's on a very accelerated timetable. The other aspect of this bill that is just worth pausing on is that its main purpose is actually about the internal market within Great Britain, and it is bitterly opposed by the devolved governments of Scotland and Wales. Now, while the UK government parliament can overrule those parliaments, this is not conducive to good relations within the UK itself, when support for Scottish independence is now running at around 55%. So this is another challenge to the integrity of the United Kingdom itself. We are living in quite extraordinary times here in the UK.
Now, on that note about how Scotland fits into this, Nicola Sturgeon, I mean, as you said, has been very vocal. She described the UK bill as a full frontal assault on devolution that would steal powers away from not only Edinburgh, but also Belfast and Cardiff. How do you think Boris Johnson is planning to navigate this situation, this challenge that he's facing when it comes to unity within the United Kingdom and the way they're thinking about this bill?
Again, there's been a big change one discerns with this government. The approach they're taking is more assertive. It's muscular unionism in the phrase. So rather than seeking to work with the devolved government in Scotland or in Wales, a very much more aggressive positioning, criticising their domestic record for what they've delivered in Scotland and Wales, and imposing Whitehall, Westminster's view of how the devolution settlements should operate. It's an interesting approach. We have elections coming up in Scotland and in Wales next year for the Scottish Parliament and the Senate in Wales. As I said earlier, a really critical time, with opinion in support for independence in both Scotland and Wales increasing seemingly month on month. But this government is trying this more muscular approach. That has obviously generated a lot of resistance, both from Mark Drakeford, the First Minister in Wales, and Nicola Sturgeon in Scotland. The key thing is, what do people in Scotland and Wales think? And I'm far from persuaded that they will think this approach from the UK government is a good thing. Boris Johnson is not desperately popular north of the Scottish border.
I want to come on to the European side of the equation. So we're looking now at this ultimatum that the Europeans have given to the UK, essentially saying that you've got 3 weeks to drop this internal market legislation, or they will explore ways to retaliate. But it's interesting to note that they haven't stopped the trade negotiations. They haven't stopped the talks around the future trade relationship. What's your interpretation of their strategy here?
Well, I think that is quite interesting. On one view of this was a very provocative move on the part of the UK government, which was designed to have the EU side flounce out the room in a fit of temper. And then the UK government, talking to a domestic audience, could have said, well, it wasn't us, it was the other lot that walked out. And the EU side has seen that coming a mile off. They want to be portrayed as the adult in the room. They're not going to be provoked in walking out of the trade negotiations. So I guess with a very heavy heart, they will stick stick with it. And let's not forget, it is still possible that we can get this deal sorted out. There isn't a huge amount remaining in terms of the differences between the two sides, but it's going to require extraordinary political intervention and reaching down very, very deep to find the remaining goodwill to get something sorted out. So a deal is not impossible. I think the EU side recognises that. And for both sides, it really has to be emphasised that a trade deal is in the best interests of both sides.